This is an instructional video intended to help you set up your Pumpkin Patch Prowler animatronic from Spirit Halloween. After taking everything out of the box, make sure that your parts include a base labeled A, 2 poles labeled B, 2 poles labeled C, a clothing piece, 2 leg clothing pieces, a hip loop, a function box attached to a pole labeled G, an IR sensor and an adapter, the creepy cloth, the head, the 2 arms with wires attached, the mechanism, and the shoulder frame. Before you get started, note that the longer part of the base should be facing the front. The first step is to get the 2 poles labeled B attached to the base labeled A using the corresponding holes and locking pins. Now you can put the 2 poles labeled C on top of the poles labeled B, also using the corresponding holes and locking pins. Once you have your poles attached, you can go ahead and open up your leg pieces and slide them over top of the poles. Make sure when you're doing this that you're grabbing the elastic bands located at the top opening of the leg pieces and sliding that over top of the poles so that the locking pin sticking out on pole C will prevent it from slipping downward. Now you can go ahead and attach your mechanism box using the locking pins to the poles labeled C. This connection is a little bit tricky because the poles are kind of twisted up a bit, but if you work with it for long enough, I promise you will be able to get it. Now you can go ahead and get the pegs on the hip loop stuck into the slot sticking up, and then you can also go ahead and attach your control box with the pole that it comes connected to. Taking a look at the control box here, you'll see that there is a volume knob for you to adjust the volume to your liking. There's also a switch you can turn the prop to on, where it will go continuously, off, where you'll want to plug in your trimies, and the sensor/detector, which will put it in the IR sensor mode. You also have a plug for all of your different trimies, a speaker jack, and you will now want to go ahead and get your adapter plugged in. Now you're going to want to go ahead and connect a wire that's coming from the control box to a wire that's coming from the mechanism. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and stick on your shoulder frame here using the corresponding pegs and slots. So now you want to go ahead and grab the main clothing piece and begin to slide that over all of the stuff you've done so far. This is a little bit tricky to get it over that shoulder frame especially, but don't worry too much about how it looks after this because you still have to get the arms, which will kind of hold it up a little bit. So now is the time to go ahead and start sliding your arms up through the sleeves, and you're going to want to make sure that you have arm K on the left of the prop and arm L on the right, but if you get confused or you lose those stickers, just know that the palms of the hands should be facing the front, which is again where the longer part of the base is facing. So as you slide those foam parts of the arms up through the sleeves, you'll notice that it starts to kind of hold the clothing up a little bit like I was saying before, and then you're going to want to go ahead and use the little fork connections to hold the arm in place. Once you get the arms on there, pull the sleeves all the way down. You'll notice that there are Velcro strips on the top and bottom of the hands that correspond to Velcro strips on the opening of the sleeve. Just to make it look a bit nicer, go ahead and pull those triangle cutouts on the edge of the sleeve through the spaces between the fingers. Now remember, these hands do light up, so there's going to be 2 pairs of corresponding blue wires coming from the arms and the control box. Now you can go ahead and plug in your IR sensor, and opening up the close a little bit here, you'll see that there is a hole to stick it through and also surrounding Velcro patches that will go ahead and keep it in place. So now it's finally time to attach your Prowler's pumpkin head. So what you're going to want to do is, using the pole that's sticking out of the bottom of it, you can attach it using the locking pin to the pole that should be sticking up right in the center of the shoulder frame there. And you will have a wire that is coming from the control box and one that's coming from the head that need to be connected. Once you're sure everything is all good in there and you have it on the setting that you want, you can go ahead and do up the Velcro strips on the back of the clothing here to close up that opening. There is an elastic opening for the neck that you're going to want to pull up around the neck to close that off a little bit there, and there is also a Velcro strip that corresponds to a Velcro strip on the neck that will hold it in place a little bit better. So you're almost completely done here. The only thing left to do is to get your creepy cloth piece draped entirely over your Prowler. It comes all balled up, so you have to kind of undo that first, and then once you open it up and you can kind of get a handle on it, you'll see that there are two sides that have these fringed little dangling pieces, and it doesn't matter which one of those sides you go ahead and toss over it because they're exactly the same. So just starting from the back, you can just go ahead and throw it over top of him and then adjust all of the dangling pieces to your liking. It does look best if you take the last 3 or 4 pieces on each end and throw them in between the fingers of the hands. So once everything is adjusted to your liking, plug the Pumpkin Patch Prowler's adapter into an outlet and your setup is complete.